What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the one and only Tesla stock and what you should be looking after for the future. I'm also going to break down what's going on with Spine, the QQQ, what's happening in the pre-market, what news just came out for all of these different tickers and also for Tesla, and talk about what this tells us about the market open, what does this tell us about Tesla moving forward, and what all of this means when we have the big data coming out in just a couple of hours. And before I break down about what this data is and how this may affect Tesla and what levels you should be watching for, I do have to mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I am not a financial planner. Make sure you take none of this as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire Tesla community as a whole. And finally, don't forget about the Moomoo link. The offer ends very soon. Put in $100 and you're guaranteed 5 free stocks with a $100 cash reward. Offer ends in a few weeks. Check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. All right, so in the pre-market, Tesla's up for the time being after some nice news came out, but Tesla has not been able to break 250 for the time being. Tesla also gapped up in the pre-market, so we have to be very careful with this, especially when we see indecision candles forming just like this. But first, let's talk about the data and what's happening with the markets. So the markets, especially the futures, yesterday were holding up quite nicely over the hope that the Fed will pause this week. Now, will they pause or will they end up skipping? And the truth is, we won't truly know if they skipped until we get the FOMC results from July. And for now, if the Fed just does not raise the rates, it's going to be interpreted as a pause, either temporarily or at least for the time being. And it's very likely that the market will get a positive reaction. Why? Because once again, this is going to be a very good reason to help the market pump even more, squeeze shorts, and also because of the fact that sentiment is still very positive and technicals are favoring the bulls a bit more. But once again, technicals alone are not everything. You have to look at more data first. We have to see what CPI tells us before we make any decisions, because this is not 100% objective. This is not a guarantee. We have to be patient and wait for some data before getting excited or anything like that. You have to be patient, always be open-minded, and watch for confirmation nevertheless. Now, on top of this, I just want to add that the market is expecting a pause. There's a 74.8% chance that they're, going to either, skip or pause or just, not give us any rate hikes for this meeting. And there's about a 25% chance that they're going to do the opposite and actually raise rates even more. So the market is quite confident, the bonds market too. So we'll wait and see how that actually goes. Now, let me just remind everyone that at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern time today, in just a couple of hours, we have the consumer inflationary expectations report. If this is hotter than the forecast of 4.2%, if it's at 4.4%, 4.6%, or something very hot like that, that means that consumers are expecting inflation to go up, which impacts their behavior. And once again, if this does happen, this could have a very negative effect on the economy and the stock market as a whole. This will likely cause the market to cool off if this is way too hot. If it's the opposite, if this is as expected, or maybe like a little bit cool, that could be a good sign for the markets and consumer sentiment for the next couple of weeks, next month or so going forward. And the market will likely get a very more positive reaction, at least hold up if that were to happen. So this is going to be very important. Don't forget, at 11 o'clock a.m., this data is coming out, and this will affect Tesla and many different stocks. Now, as far as Tesla goes, there was some news that came out. Tesla is once again getting more and more of these potential benefits from the EV charging stations, and we are starting to see, more federal subsidies to the charging stations, but they have to carry their own fast charging standards for EVs. So once again, this has been positive for Tesla, and there's also more news that came out about Tesla unveiling the new Gigafactory laboratory concept. This is, excuse me, once again very positive, getting a lot of investors excited. And I think that Tesla will once again continue to grow in terms of their sales and etc. They're going to need more laboratories moving forward, and this is going to continue to help them moving forward, because if you look at their technology, they're able to build these cars in just, about 45 seconds. So doing research is just pivotal for them to continue to do so. And I believe Tesla is going to continue to become more efficient as they build more of these gigafactories. This is just the beginning. I can't wait to see what the gigafactories are like in a decade. So that's why it's very important to look at news like that. But now let's break down what's happening with the technicals. So for Tesla, if you want to turn really bullish, we have to break and hold 250 in a very strong manner. On Friday, we tried to break 250. You could see we came up in the pre-market. We temporarily broke above it. Then we came down for the majority of the day. And now today, we're gapping up in the pre-market. So be careful. We have to see if it can break 250. If it breaks it, it could turn bullish. It's going to get a big reaction to the data. I don't know what the data is going to cause, which is why I can't give you guys a very, very stable prediction about today. That's why I'm talking about these levels. I know some people are like not happy about me always predicting or not always predicting. That's because I can't always predict everything. I don't know what the data is going to cause, right? I want to be open-minded. I want to be prepared because it's very important to be prepared for what comes. Now, if we get some decent data, we could see Tesla make an attempt to break 250. If it holds it, it could start to push all the way up to about 254.26 or even higher than that. But if Tesla fails to do so, if we don't really get much good data and Tesla fails to break this 250 area, we have some support, first off, at 247.5. That fails us, watch this 246 range. This is the next support that's holding up Tesla in the pre-market. If that fails, there's a pre-market gap that's going to come all the way down to about the 244 area, and Tesla will come all the way down there if we fail to hold 246. Now, after this 244 range, if Tesla fails to hold 242.5 to 241.5, this is the next support zone. So like right here, let me just, extend this right here. If Tesla fails to hold this support right here, it's going to come even lower to where this gap is. There's an unfilled gap closer to like the 235 area. It's going to likely break down either there or to where the 50 EMAs around the 238 area. So it's going to come all the way down to the high to mid 230s if it breaks below 240, and that you're going to be watching the support carefully. But that's just in case, guys. I mean, it really depends on the data. For now, we're going to be watching these two ranges, okay? So once again, break 250, this thing can fly more. If it fails to do so and it just continues to chop, watch it chop around here. If it breaks below 246, we're going to come down to fill this gap all the way down to 244. And then after that, we have, the 242.5 range around there to 241.5. Break below that, and this thing will likely sink even lower to fill the gap. So I just wanted to inform you guys about that. Make sure you watch these levels carefully and you are ready for the data. The big data drops in just a couple of hours. For SPY, if we are bullish on SPY, just waiting for this to load, we're going to be watching these levels carefully. So SPY has this resistance at 432 now, this 432 zone, basically between 431.25 to about 432. We have a lot of resistance at these different levels. You can see we got rejected at 431.76. We're very close to that before. 432 as well. So this entire zone right here has a lot of resistance between 431.25 to 432. Break 432 flat, and this thing's going to fly to the 433 zone resistance. Break that, we have 435 coming. If it fails to break out, because you have to remember, we're gapping up in the pre-market. If this thing breaks below the 431 area, it's going to likely test these lows and maybe even fill this gap down here at 430 flat. So there's a gap at 430 exactly. We're likely going to come all the way down if 431 fails on us. And if that fails on us, there's also another important level around 429, which is where the 50 EMA happens to be. That is where SPY bounced just a couple of days ago. So 429 is going to come in 430 fails. Then we have 428.5, 427.5, then the 426 major support. In order for this thing to turn very bearish, we have to break below 426 and hold it. For now, there's no sign of that, but I just want to note that because it's a very important level. It looks to me like the technicals are just slowing down a bit. We're not really breaking 432 for now. I'm really hoping we could try in the morning, but always be open-minded about this gap right here, because when the data drops at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern time, things could change. So just be ready for that, just in case. Finally, for the QQQ, this thing is also up in the pre-market, looking pretty decent so far. Just waiting for this to load. My Wi-Fi is a little bit slow right now. As far as the QQQ goes, we're going to be watching some more very important levels. We have some resistance at 356.8 now. There's a little bit of resistance right around there, around the 356 zone. Break that, we're going to be watching 357.5. And after that, 360 could come if we get a strong break above that resistance. But please note that the QQQ is gapping up. Okay, if it breaks below major support, which is right here, very close to 355.5, it's going to likely come all the way down to 354.5 and potentially 354. 353.88 is also where the 1 hour 50 EMA happens to be. That's going to be a big support, so watch that carefully. Technicals look very flat. We basically gapped up and now we're just trading sideways. There's not much going on. There's not like a very bullish trend or bearish trend. We're just stuck in the middle. And if it breaks below the 50 EMA, you're going to be watching 352, then potentially 350. So we have a lot of support and resistance on both levels. But if anything, it looks to me like the QQQ looks pretty choppy to open this up. It may even cool off a bit to fill this gap below just a couple of dollars. Now, if we do continue to break out, that would be awesome. But like I said before, got to watch for that data. The data dropping could change the direction, right? Even if we are pumping into the morning, the data drops, the complete opposite could happen. That's why you have to watch support and resistance. That's why you have to watch the data. That's very important. All right, so those are some important levels. NEO is gapping up quite nicely. Apple's holding up. If Apple continues to hold these levels, it's going to look pretty good. For now, we'll just watch the majority of these charts. My Wi-Fi is slowing down, but it's okay. I went over basically everything that's important, and just know that Tesla has unveiled some pretty decent news. So for now, Tesla's holding up, but don't forget about the data that's coming out later on. With that said, thank you all so much for listening. I'll see you guys in the later video during my intraday update. And with that said, have an absolute spectacular trading day. Tesla to the moon because the long term is still incredibly bright alongside the whole market. And peace out.